following program is rated TV MALV. It contains strong language, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Here we go, Barflies. Welcome to the Barfly Tailgate Show. You already know it's done by Barflies, for Barflies, and all the other Bears fans out there. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Nice long week. Hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. Ate plenty of turkey. I'm sorry, Chris, that they don't celebrate that over there, but we got to celebrate something over here.
Yeah, but I see I did actually have a turkey dinner just for honouring you Americans, my American friends. I did have a roast turkey dinner, so I was there in spirit.
Nice. That's awesome, man. So we all got fat and happy and got to watch some football on Thursday and on Friday. And on Saturday. I mean, I don't want to rub anything in here, Tooch, but someone sent me a bet that said that they were betting Louisville.
I'm here to take my medicine on that one.
Yeah, and so I was like, "Why are you betting Louisville? We've crushed them the last 4 years in a row, and this is 5 in a row now." We travel to Louisville. It's L's down year round, but it's definitely this week. Louisville hate week. Kentucky travels to Louisville and beats a top 10 team on the road. Last night was insane. I know this isn't a Kentucky show, but right after the game, there was rumors swirling that Mark Stoops was in at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Then he flies down to College Station, and they say, "Yeah, we're going to go a different direction, I guess." And he flew back, and then he tweeted out, "Yeah, I'm staying a Wildcat. I couldn't leave you guys." And I'm like, okay. I mean,
I forget. If Stoops would have left, I forget the name of the coach that coaches at Troy. But that
John
guy's
Summerall.
That guy is 21-4 the last couple seasons, man.
Well, he's a Kentucky guy. He played at Kentucky, and he was an assistant under Mark Stoops. So a lot of Kentucky fans were like, "Well, if he's gone, let's call him up."
Yep, exactly.
I threw out the name Urban Meyer, and I guess that was a bad word. That was a cuss word. But I was like,
poison.
All the guy does is win in college. But how we doing today, Chris? How you doing? I'll go to you first, and then we'll hit intros, and then we'll get this party started.
I'm doing great, fellas. It's always great to have that sort of Thanksgiving row of games, so we can have some extra games through the week. But I am absolutely still gutted about the Bears from last week. I would just say to you boys before the show that when we got to halfway through the third quarter, I thought this is it. We're actually going to win, but it's our Chicago Bears, and of course they fucked it up. So apart from that, I'm doing great, guys, and it's a joy to see you, fellas.
Yeah, we all kind of got let down in that game, and man, I mean, I'll get into it when we talk about the game. Jordan, how you doing this morning? I know it's bright and early out there for you, brother.
Yes, sir. I'm tired, but I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Happy to see you fellas. Happy to talk some Bears football and anything in between. So, chat, thanks for being here. I'm looking forward to a good show.
Tooch, how you doing this morning, brother? I know you had some.
Yeah, it was a rough day yesterday, sports wager, but I had 6 straight winning days. So, it wasn't terrible. I was able to hedge out of my Louisville bet. by taking Kentucky, I think early in the second half, when I knew I was in trouble. But I mean, it was a back and forth game. I knew Louisville wasn't going to cover.
Yeah.
So at one point I could get Kentucky -1.5, and I knew that even if they won by a field goal, I'd be safe.
Yeah.
So put enough money to cover the initial bet, and then it's why you really when you're sports wagering, you really have to pay attention to your live betting angles.
Yeah,
So,
rivalry week is so difficult because you have
it was dumb.
Games that shouldn't be close are like Auburn and Alabama. That shouldn't have been close, but Auburn was leading.
Auburn almost had that game.
yeah.
Lucky few plays at the end, for Alabama to pull out the win. But
rivalry week is definitely a tough week to bet. That was the only game I bet was Kentucky +7, and I just did that because my heart told me to do that.
No, I mean it was the sharp play. Because it's rivalry week, it should have been close. You take the points. I was like, well, Louisville, man, looking at the numbers, they're great against the run. Pass defense is okay. Kentucky has a very good run defense. Their pass defense is susceptible. I mean, Jack Plummer's not a bad player. Devin Leary hadn't been playing that well his past 3 games. I looked at all the angles and I'm like, Louisville's at home. It's finally their chance to beat up on Big Brother, and no. Rivalry week, you got to take some points and stuff with the dogs. It's a dog week.
Yeah,
and I wish I could give Jordan a little. He looks like he needs a little coffee.
I'm exhausted, fellas, but I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed after that coffee. I mean, we had Iowa. Iowa total was like 26.5.
I had the under, and I had Iowa +1.5.
25.5, 24, and it still stayed under. It was like the lowest. I was like. It's normally an auto bet for me, but man, I was just like, I don't know this week.
I hit it early, like as soon as the lines came out. So I got to like 26.5. And I was like, I got to hit this before it goes down more. But we'll get into last week's game a little bit here, and we'll get it all started off with my man C-Dub.
Piss off, you grassy little wanker! Wanker! Shut up, you stoppy wanker!
Wanker!
You're a wanker!
Wanker!
Stop being a wanker.
You are a wanker, Andy Marr. And I'll be honest, I didn't know that was coming, but I'll say it again, you are a wanker.
This is Chris Watts's Wanker of the Week.
I can't remember if we've done this yet this year or not. I keep forgetting about it, but definitely had to take the chance to do it this week. Chris Watts's Wanker of the Week. If you haven't watched the show before or you haven't watched the show until this season, this is where Chris Watts tells you who effed up the game last week and who is the Wanker of the Week. Chris, I'll turn it over to you, brother.
Well, I think really this is like a joint Wanker of the Week, really, because I know Tooch and AC agree with this, and I'm sure Jordan probably agrees, but it's Matt Eberflus. It's Matt Eberflus. For fuck's sake, how did we lose that game? Why were your defense playing like the wall? Why were they so soft on the last drive? And we had 3 turnovers, we didn't make the most of it, and some of the decisions on 4th down were terrible. That was like, now the Bears are like historically losing in the whole NFL history. With 3 turnovers and having possession of 40 minutes and letting the Lions get back. It's like I said before, halfway through the 3rd quarter, I was dreaming that this was going to be a Bears victory. And then the fucking coaching just got so sort of soft at the end. But that's why he's Wanker of the Week. I mean, usually I have a bit of a bite at Luke Getsy, but I actually thought his game plan were really good last week for Justin Fields. But the Wanker of the Week is definitely Eberflus, and I'm sorry, but I just can't say I can bring him back next year. I really can't. I really can't see any logic in it at all anymore. So yeah, Matt Eberflus, you're the Wanker of the Week, my mate.
I definitely agree with that. I know Getsy early in the game, like you said, had a pretty good game plan. Was doing a good combination of running the ball and throwing the ball and letting Justin Fields get out and run in space, which is what the Lions were struggling with. I mean, they asked Dan Campbell at halftime, "What's your strategy?" And he said, "Justin Fields, Justin Fields, Justin Fields, Justin Fields, Justin Fields." So obviously, that was the entire game plan, was to stop him. And if he beats you, or if somebody else beats you, so have it. But when they came out, and I don't know, I'm assuming this came down to Eberflus making the final call, and just started running the ball straight up the middle at a 9-man box. I was like, what are we doing? And I told you guys pre-show, on 4th and 1, when we kicked the field goal, instead of going for it, I looked at my wife and I said, we're going to lose this ball game. And that was to go from up 6 to up 9. And then after that, it was just the play calling got so conservative, and you deal with that a lot with the defensive-minded head coach. They just want to run the ball, play good defense, and put this game away. Well, didn't get away with it this week. And in my eyes, it kind of worked out perfectly, because I want Eberflus gone. I wouldn't mind Justin Fields still being my quarterback. And I watched a man yesterday go up against Michigan that I want lining up on the other side of DJ Moore, and I don't care if you take him number 1 overall. That's Marvin Harrison Jr. So it worked out perfect for me, because you get the epic meltdown, and I don't see how Eberflus can ever come back from this, no matter how much Ryan Poles likes him. And if Ryan Poles thinks, hopefully Kevin Warren has had enough of it, and he'll just get rid of both of them. I'm just – yeah, Mr. Shorty's in the chat saying Harbaugh, that's the number 1 answer. You gotta have a guy that's going to come in here and turn things around, and he's the dude. Jordan, what'd you feel on the game last week?
It's hard to argue with you fellas. I mean, let me ask you guys a question. What's the old say? It scared money? Don't make no money. And that's exactly what it was. I mean, you have a defensive head coach that tucked his tail between his legs and got conservative. And I mean, it's just, there's so many oxymorons with this team. You have your quarterback that you want to evaluate, see if he's the guy, but then we're going to take the ball out of his hands towards the end of the game. You've got your foot on the throat of the Detroit Lions, the best team in the division. I don't think you guys, and surely you do, but I don't chat. I was here, 2 weeks ago saying, man, I know they've lost a lot of games, but they really honestly could pull it off, because they'd played two. You had the Vikings and the Packers. They had 2 division games they blew, but they still had plenty left. They had 4 games left in the division. And you're about to go on this run where, had you beat the Lions, then you have a Monday night game against Josh Dobbs. Maybe you steal that away. Then you're back to the Lions. You have an opportunity. And unfortunately, to Chris's point of Wanker of the Week, Matt Eberflus is the worst head coach in Bears history. I probably argue he's probably the worst head coach left in the NFL now that Josh McDaniels is gone. But don't worry, though. George McCaskey would like to see it through to the end, and wish him well, and say that he was a great culture builder for this team.
Yeah, it almost feels like he was setting it up, and almost like he was doing it on purpose. I don't know. I just don't know how you can mess everything up so terribly wrong. And I haven't had a huge issue with a lot of Poles' draft picks. Like, we've talked about it several times in the first round. I was fine with going with Darnell Wright, even no matter what Jalen Carter does.
Good player.
I don't think he would do what he's done here, or vice versa. And you needed the right tackle, and we've solidified that. He looks like the best offensive lineman on the team, in my opinion. I mean, Tevin's obviously throwing his hat in the ring with his ability to go left or right. He's really found a home there on the inside. But you got some good young pieces on the offensive line that you might be able to build off of. I think you got a quarterback. I mean, he came out last week with something to prove. We'll see how he does this week, because remember, he struggled, even though he got hurt, but before he got hurt, he struggled with this Brian Flores defense, where he shows you blitz and backs out, or shows you blitz and they're all coming. You better figure something out. It's very difficult to pick that up pre-snap and then make a decision in less than 3 seconds. You know what I mean? That's life in the NFL. I mean, we'll see how it goes, but I'm not terribly upset with all of Poles' decisions, but his first decision was to hire Eberflus, and I didn't like it at the time, and I like it even less now. You know what I'm saying, Tooch?
Yeah. Bottom line for me is that Justin Fields played well enough to win on the road in a hostile environment versus a very good team, and to let it get away, it was like a gut punch. And I said on Bears State of Affair, how the hell did we end up worse off after firing Matt Nagy?
Yeah.
I don't get it. We went backwards after getting rid of Matt Nagy, who was a horrible coach too. It's just been a series of bad hires at coach, from Tressman to Fox to Nagy to Eberflus, and then those coaching staffs not being able to develop the quarterback position when we've drafted first round quarterbacks, whether Trubisky, Fields, whoever. The change for quarterback and offensive coordinators we've had since 2009. We've had like 13 different offensive coordinators in 14 years. So not a good sign. We had tons of questions, man, in the chat. I started them all. A lot of good questions from the chat.
I've been seeing them up there. But we'll bring in the fifth member of the Monstar squad, the leader, the point guard that we got, my man KB, Ryan Kirkland Billings. Good morning, happy Thanksgiving. How you doing, brother?
What's going on, brother, man? That's high praise. The point guard, oh yeah, your boy feeling all, what I'm saying, got the butterflies, all warm inside.
Well, maybe you're more like the shooting guard. I hand the ball off to you. I just let you shoot your threes. So maybe that's a better analogy. But yeah, you my guy, dude.
Fans are showing up for KB here. Look at that.
All right, what I'm saying? Yeah. Y'all got your boy feeling like a celebrity out here, boy. What I'm saying?
First and foremost,
shooting guard, though. What I'm saying?
First and foremost, KB. How was your Thanksgiving? Was you working? Did you have some deep fried turkeys mishaps, or what happened?
So I did work. No deep fried turkey mishaps, thank God.
Yeah.
So my guy actually smoked the turkey at work.
Nice.
I did some deviled eggs and baked macaroni and cheese. A couple other folks had stuff brought in, and we had a decent day that day. No, wasn't too crazy. It was actually pretty nice. But they did have a fire yesterday. So I don't know, man.
Somebody went Black Friday shopping and left the oven on, huh?
Man.
You did see on Thanksgiving, though, the Packers went in and stomped on the Lions. Lions showing some vulnerabilities, that the Bears exploited. So it shouldn't have been too surprising. I mean, everybody was on the Lions, but I thought the Packers would keep it close. I didn't expect them to win, but that was another. They obviously watched the Bears game tape.
Yeah, I know. On my other show, we do what's called the 6-pack challenge, but this week we did the Thanksgiving feast where we picked all those games as well. And that was the only one I got wrong. I was on the Lions. I thought, your back's against the wall. What's Dan Campbell's guys going to do? They're going to come out fighting. Right. They just came out, and I mean, Jared Goff, it was interceptions against us, but it was fumbles against the Packers. The guy just could not hold on to the ball. It was crazy to see. And I mean, maybe the Packers got themselves another quarterback, which is
both the Bears and Packers pressured Goff.
Yeah.
That's when usually he's money at home, but you get some pressure in his face and he'll give up the ball.
Yeah, I noticed that Don Burr's not in the chat today. I'm not sure where what's going on. Maybe he's stuck in traffic. I'm not sure what's going on there, but
too much Xanax after that game.
Hey, bro, he got that trash ass Detroit internet, bro. So he couldn't get on.
So we just talked a little about the game last week. KB, the wanker of the week was Eberflus for obvious reasons.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, what did you see from the game last week? Did you not let the optimism creep in while we were up, or how are you feeling?
Definitely didn't. I had moments where I was looking at it and I was just like, bro, they really aren't as good as as their record shows. They started to look like that team that I thought they were, a team that is capitalized on beating, some subpar teams. Yeah, they got one up on the Chiefs, and that's good for them. You beat the Chiefs without Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
I don't remember if Chris Jones played that game or not. I want to say he didn't.
No, he was up in the press box. Remember, he hadn't signed his contract yet.
Yep. So, I mean, it's two players, but you have to look at those two players are arguably, two of the best players on your team outside of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
What I saw last week was coaching. Absolutely. You have a team that is number one in your division up. You're up on them, and you're at their stadium, and you decide not to go for the jugular. To me, at that point, if you would have went for it on fourth or whatever it was to try to get a touchdown or even try to get the first down, you go to put the game away. Your record shows what type of team you are. You're a team that can't win. And Eberflus, he went on to prove that. You tuck your tail and then you hide. No, bro, you at that point you gotta show, hey man, you know what? We're not gonna let you pick on us. You know what I'm saying? You got to be that kid that stands up to the bully at some point. And Eberflus has shown time and time again that's not what he is. So, to me, it was all coaching. The Bears should have done what the Packers did on Thanksgiving a week ago. That's exactly what it should have been. They should have lost 2 straight division games, and the first L should have been handed by the Bears. That being said, as far as that game goes, man, this defense, you see the fruits of the labor, right? You start to see certain pieces, you get all these pressures from Montez Sweat and whatnot. But when it came down and the chips were on the table, bro, where was the defense?
Couldn't get home.
You sitting there, you're playing in goddamn prevent when you have a drive where you need to get them off the field. Now it plays into what I say. You're playing scared instead of trying to play to win. So, like I said, bro, I'm just really I'm out on Eberflus all the way, bro. Then it's other things that are starting to come back to life this week, and the things that are starting to come back are legit starting to make me have a bad taste in my mouth for polls.
You guys want to find out where that echo is coming from?
It might be me, man.
No, I
think it was there when before you got here, though, KB. Hold on.
I just see if
I've been muted, fellas, so I'll mute again just so we can find it.
I think it was Chris because I muted his.
I think it's Chris. Yeah.
Hey, Chris, do you have your sound just coming through the headphones, or is it coming out of the computer and the headphones? Because if it's coming out,
it's just coming out. Well, I've just got it coming through my headphones at the moment, so there should be any echo really. It's just probably my internet's been a bit poor this last couple of days.
Good old English internet. You'd think with all the countries that they took over, they would have figured out a better internet source.
Hey! See, we invented the fucking internet, mate.
No.
Back when I love actually AOL.
You threw me all off track here trying to figure all this out. There are a lot of people that are talking about. Oh, there's Don Burr. Hey, welcome back, Don. There are some people in here talking about the Tyler Scott throw at the end. I mean, when it comes down to it, he trusted his guy to make a play. DJ Moore pulled the safety down. It worked out exactly. He read it correctly. The safety comes down to cover DJ. You go behind him. So that's what they did. He had him beat. He threw the perfect ball. Tyler Scott just made a rookie mistake and slowed up a little bit to try and look back and kind of trace the ball, and the rest is history. But it shouldn't have even come down to that. We were up so big. We were up 12 points in the fourth quarter. Your defensive-minded head coach should not give that up. And all they did was go underneath. The middle of the field was wide open. that's the scheme of this defense, man. I don't know how many times I have to say it that I don't trust Eberflus's defense, and I don't. I hope they fire him at the bye week. I know people are saying, "Well, who do you bring in?" Give the special teams coordinator the freaking head coaching duties. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You know what I mean? He's used to running both sides of the ball and getting the best out of players at the bottom of the roster. I love the idea of a special teams coordinator at least being the interim head coach. I mean, it's just not gonna. I don't know. Don says we was toying with y'all. Yeah, I mean, your boy Goff is looking off now, Don. I mean, he threw 3 interceptions to us, and he couldn't hold on to the ball against the Packers on Thursday. I don't know if he was eating too much turkey with his hands and got the grease all on his fingers or what it was, but he's starting to be turnover prone, and if you're not worried about it, I think you should be, Don.
He's back. He was sleeping in, missed the start of the show, Don. You want to hit some of these questions?
Yeah. Let's roll through them, and then we'll try and get into this week's game a little bit.
Ninja 52 Elite, he's got a few in here.
My answer is absolutely yes. I would take Marvin Harrison Jr. number 1 overall over any of the quarterbacks, any of the offensive tackles, any of the pass rushers. I think he's a generational talent. And I know someone was saying, well, there's never or they can't remember the last time a wide receiver was taken number 1 or even in the top 3.
30 years ago, I think.
If you think for a second,
Keyshawn Johnson.
If you think for a second that the Bengals wouldn't have taken Jamar Chase number 1 overall if they were in that position, you're dead wrong. If you think the Vikings wouldn't have taken Randy Moss number 1 overall, especially in hindsight, you're dead wrong. And I think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is that type of player. Jordan, I know you like other players as well, and you're not necessarily in the camp that he's a generational talent, but I think he is. I think you pair him with DJ Moore, and you have an excellent wide receiver tandem. And then you trade back the pick that's sitting at 4 right now. And if you grab a J.J. McCarthy late in the first round, or you grab someone in the second or third round, like I've grabbed a Quinn Ewers a couple times in mock drafts, or I don't know, the guy from Washington State, Cameron Ward, who you like a lot. If you grab one of those guys later, then you're filling holes and you're not putting all the pressure on a rookie quarterback to come in and be the franchise savior. I think it's perfect. Chris, you don't watch a whole lot of college. Do you know anything about Marvin Harrison Jr.? Go ahead.
Cheers, buddy. I mean, I've already heard what I picked up. Just trying to see stuff on YouTube. Really, I mean, I know it's like Tuesday said, it's been 30 years since a wide receiver's been taken as number 1 pick. But you just got to imagine, like you said, AC, if you had him with as well with DJ Moore, and then also you could have Mooney as a slot receiver as well. Just shoots like he's a bit smaller, a bit shiftier. It's great, but I just keep thinking, oh shit, is the same thing that happened to the Bears when we drafted that wide receiver, White, who just always got injury prone and stuff like that. So I don't know, boys. I don't know if it's just like a little bit too high in the draft, but obviously I haven't seen enough of his game really to make to give you like a full sort of answer really to the question, but. I don't know. I mean, if Jordan says he's not too sure, that's usually a good sign to me that he's onto something. So I'm not too sure, but anything to make our Bears better, I'm all up for it, man, because we need it desperately.
Well, we'll pass the devil's advocate and ask Jordan. What do you feel on taking a Marvin Harrison Jr. number 1, or who do you think would be worthy of that, or are you in team trade out of the number 1 pick 2 years in a row?
No. I mean, look, I mean, let me be very clear. I do believe that Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably not even probably, I mean, it's hard to argue. He's the most blue prospect, the bluest, the cleanest blue prospect that there is in this class. And look back to last year. I mean, something I kept harping on is I know that Peter Skoronski didn't have the length and all that, but there, as a GM, you have to think that there's a certain comfort of being able to take a pick, make a pick, take a player, and be able to sleep easy that night and feel like the next 200, because you just know, barring some catastrophic injury or some drastic change in character, that guy is going to be a good selection. His dad was a pro. He understands what it is to live, breathe, eat football. Even when he's basically, I don't want to call him just the entire offense, but he kind of is the entire offense at Ohio State. Still finds a way to make plays. But, I mean, George Barlissimo put something like there's eight wide receivers that are better than the first one taken last year. That's my only point. It's just I'm not even telling you that there are guys ahead of Marvin Harrison. Just that the drop-off that people are making it seem like there's some drastic drop-off is not true. There are still very, very, very good wide receivers. They just aren't quite of the same ilk as Marvin Harrison. To the point of, should you draft him at 1? Maybe it happens. I just don't think that we're going to see that. Quarterbacks go 1 because of just the priority that they take. I'm not saying the Bears have to take 1, but even then, if let's say the Bears don't want him, it's Marvin Harrison. Why would you stick at 1 and take him? Go leverage that number 1 overall pick to some other team, presumably that 3 wants to jump to 1, 2 wants to jump to 1 for a quarterback. I'd trade that back if you didn't want to take a quarterback there. But also just inherently, too, the last thing I'll say is I have no problem absolutely saying that probably the best fit to team in that first top 5 is Marvin Harrison to the Bears. I've said this numerous times that you let Mooney walk, you keep DJ Moore. DJ Moore is a fantastic player up by his own. You move him to the Z, that's fucking incredible. You put Marvin Harrison Jr. as your X receiver, and then you have a Tyler Scott or whoever you want to put in there as your slot receiver. There's really no better match for a receiver to just kind of slot in, because the Bears have been desperately seeking for a big body wide receiver with the N'Keal Harry trade to Chase Claypool to the Equinemius St. Brown hanging around. They've just not been able to do it. So Harrison Jr. Makes a lot of sense for the Bears.
Yep. Yeah, Harrison's 6'4", I think 220 or something like that. He's got the bloodline. Obviously, his dad was Marvin Harrison, played with Peyton Manning for years and years in Indianapolis, Hall of Famer.
Yep.
So he's got all of that going for him. And my worry about trading back, and I think Coach T put up the hypothetical of, would you trade back 1 to 2 with the Cardinals and try and get a second-round pick when you're not sure what they're going to do, or would you rather trade 4 back to like the Rams if they're going to come up and try and get a quarterback? And I said that the answer is the Cardinals, but you're not sure if they're going to stick with Kyler Murray or if they want to reset the quarterback clock that we all talk about here in Chicago, or if they want to pair him with Marvin Harrison Jr. and then you miss out on your guy because you traded back 1 spot. And
what's the stopping team trading up to 1 and grabbing Marvin Harrison Jr. like the Cardinals?
Exactly. And we as Bears fans all watched Aaron Donald go off 1 pick before we hit the board, and we still are sick about it. At least I am.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't imagine that happening all over again. KB, are you taking MHJ number 1 overall, or what are your thoughts on this?
All right, first of all, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, all right. Just making sure, man. I've already said I would take him first overall, because to me it's like Jordan said, he's the cleanest prospect in the draft. He's the person that I feel will come in and make that immediate impact. Like I said, I don't see any world where you trade back and you get Marvin Harrison. I don't. I've said it before. I don't see why Arizona will trade up with us. I do not see them moving off of air for Kyler Murray. From a couple reports I had seen, a lot of people were sharing saying that they've already said they were going to stick with Kyler Murray. I mean, they've said that before about the Josh Rosen thing and then took Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, you kind of look at it, you've already paid this kid. He has a decent sized contract. So you had to be willing to find somebody that will be willing to take on his contract and him and pay that compensation. Now, what stops them from saying we don't really have a number 1 wide receiver and we can sit at 2 and draft Marvin Harrison?
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
It depends on what you really want to do. If you're really gonna go, it's like I said this on Coach T's post. I said, bro, I would have to see something historical for me to move off the first pick. Because in my head, the first pick has to be Marvin Harrison Jr. I like the kid out of UCLA. That's the air rusher. He seems to be like a really good kid. Seems to be very talented. Probably the best defender in this class. But Marvin Harrison Jr. just he has generational written all over him to me. I said this to one of my friends as an Ohio State fan. Y'all didn't lose because Marvin Harrison was trash. Y'all lost because your quarterback sucks ass.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real, bro. So I'm sorry. I'm hard pressed to move off that spot to get him.
I agree.
And I've just said before, I honestly believe if you do move back to 4, you miss out on them. So I would take him at one person.
Even late in that game yesterday, when the game was on the line, the whole stadium and everybody sitting at home knew the ball was going to Marvin Harrison Jr. It's exactly where it went, and he made a play with a guy hanging all over him.
Yeah,
just pass interference.
Bro, he drug him down.
And he still made the daggone.
The guy tackled him before the ball got there, and Harrison still made the catch.
He's a big physical kid. And he's fast, bro. Like, and not only that, but you look at the aesthetics of things. He's a route runner. He can separate. He has great hands. The catch he made when he got pulled down, he made it with one hand.
Big catch radius and go up and make the contested catch. But,
he's Brian Hartline's best creation, just for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Like, people don't know Brian Hartline, former NFL wide receiver.
Former Kentucky Wildcat.
Yeah, he's a mastermind at Ohio State. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is his fucking magnum opus, if there's ever been one.
Yeah, Allen Robinson was here for what a year or two. Put up some big numbers with Trubisky. We could probably get 100 catches out of Marvin Harrison every year for a while. Putting up big numbers like that, and that's why I think like Aaron said, you would want a big body receiver out there at the X. I just I don't think he makes it past 2. Arizona will take that, and they got nobody at wide receiver.
Yeah.
They'll pair him with Hollywood Brown or whoever,
Who's sitting at 3 right now? Is it New England?
I think so.
New York Giants. Is it Giants or
Giants in New England? They're vying for it.
Yeah.
So if New England or the Giants, either one of them, offer you a package to jump number 2 to drop to 3, you don't think there's any chance Marvin Harrison's sitting there?
I don't. I think the Cardinals grab him.
Well, like I said,
they just signed Kyler Murray to a big contract. They're gonna cut bait with Kyler Murray. Then they need a quarterback.
And I'm gonna say this just real quick, just to reference what Burlesimo said, bro. If it's a haul and it's absolutely amazing, you're getting a shit ton of picks, and hell, a team throws in a player. I've said this, right? Let's say the Raiders called you today and said that we would give you Max Crosby in the deal. I said, Max Crosby. We'll give you Max Crosby and X amount of picks over the next 3 fucking years. You get Max Crosby as a defensive end, then you now you got my attention. So that's what I mean about historical. You get a haul of picks to rebuild a team. I get it. Then you can consider it. It's other players in this draft that I like. Malik Neighbors from LSU was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The
Malik Neighbors.
The kid out of Washington, the wide receiver, Rome, whatever. He's a decent wide receiver. I mean, there's other good players.
There are.
But Marvin Harrison is just generational.
It's the closest thing to a sure thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, let's I think we've hit that nail on the head plenty of times. We'll move on to the next one. This has got to be a joke, right? The next one that you have started.
Yeah. We can answer that one real quick.
Just let Tooch answer it. He lives there, watches it.
Come on, Mark. It's got to be a joke.
No, the answer is no.
The answer is no. But the next question is very intriguing.
I mean, if you're asking me, one person on this panel has a number 57 jersey already. Bought it last year. I love me some Sanborn. But I
Yeah.
still think Edmonds does some things that Sanborn just physically can't do. His size, his speed, his athleticism, Sanborn doesn't have those. But if you want a tackling machine, that's what Sanborn gives you. I think they should both be on the field. It doesn't matter to me which one's outside, which one's inside. You give me
Yeah.
both those
Who's
guys.
got the better instincts?
It's hard to
I'd
not
say
say
Sanborn.
Sanborn. He's always around the ball. I mean, go ahead,
It's a
Chris.
it's a nuanced discussion. It always is. But I mean, let's be real. It's real easy. Who's better instinctual player? It's Sanborn. Who's the better athlete? It's Edmonds. Who's got more length? It's Edmonds. Who's sticking around getting paid? Number 4 top money in the NFL. It's going to be Edmonds. And unfortunately, draft pedigree follows you. Sanborn will never be able to make that much. But the reality is, it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of both. But the Bears are asked out in some sense because obviously Edwards is playing fantastic as well. But this is kind of what you get. You want to hire an antiquated coach that should be back in the early 2000s. You could play all 3 linebackers and get some production. But unfortunately now you're in a position where you need to be a nickel. So one of those linebackers has to sit, and you're certainly not going to sit the number 4 overall linebacker. And when I say 4 overall, I mean just paid annual average per year.
Well,
Yeah, I agree.
Let me ask you guys a question. If Sanborn's best in the middle, where does Edmonds slot in? Strong, weak?
See, I'd play
because
I'd play
I don't
Edmonds.
I don't want to. You can't bench Edwards. He's had the best numbers of any of our linebackers. For as much hate as he's getting from Bears Twitter, you would think that he had 0 tackles and 0 turnovers. But the guys, yeah. Bears Twitter hates him for some reason. He's got better numbers than Roquan, and a lot of people still wish we had Roquan. I mean, I don't know. It's got to be Edmonds in the middle, and I know a lot of people don't like that, but it's got to be because he is the closest thing in this defense to size and speed and build of a Brian Urlacher, who you asked to cover so much space.
Yeah.
He's got to do that same thing in this defense. He's not as good as Urlacher, but Urlacher's a Hall of Famer. Those guys aren't growing off trees, he fits that position the best. Now, if we get a Brian Flores in here, I know Jordan's been harping on that I doubt the Bears will go another defensive-minded head coach after
they won't.
He's gone. But if you have that style of defense, you're going to move Edmonds all around your formation. He's going to be like a Micah Parsons where he's coming off the edge someplace. He's playing coverage someplace. You can do so many things with that body style and that athleticism that we just don't use in this defense. They just tell him to sit back and play coverage. But to me, he's got to be the guy in the middle.
We may have an entirely different defense next year.
I hope so.
I hope
Lord,
so.
I hope so.
I think Edmonds' contract is structured so that the Bears can get out of it next year if they want to.
Was it next? I thought he had like 3 years guaranteed, basically.
Does he? I mean, pay, but I mean, you could still.
The term that was thrown around is that it was
still cut him. Yeah, it's front loaded. You could still cut him and save some dollars. It wouldn't be too much of an impact on the camp, but
I don't really see him cutting him, but I didn't see the Colts cutting Shaq Leonard either.
Yeah, Darius Leonard. Yep. Yeah. All right. How about who's the best running back the Bears have?
Jordan, I'll let you hit this one off first.
Oh, come on. Y'all know where I'm going to go. I still think, and I know it hasn't looked great this year, and one of the concerns I had about him coming out of college is he just took too many car crash hits, but I'm still going to stand by it. I still think Roschon Johnson is that dude. And
looked good last week.
Here's the thing is everybody that likes Deontay Foreman, I'm not mad at you for it. Deontay Foreman deserves
good player.
But that's the Roschon Johnson style. They just didn't let him do that, and they don't let him do that.
Yep.
So let me take over from there because I'm on the Deontay Foreman train there. The thing I feel with Roschon has that Walter Payton syndrome, where he seeks punishment and to lay punishment on people. I was gonna say it's a few runs that he's had where it's like he gets through the hole and he's looking to actively take somebody out. Now, love that style of running, bro. Absolutely. I feel like there's a home for it somewhere, but there's something about the pop of when Foreman is running the ball. For whatever reason, it seems like the dude just finds holes and he exposed through them. Now, I'm not gonna say that that's gonna translate to him being the best running back on the team right now. I'm not. What I say is I won't say that he'll be the best running back going forward for us. Well, I absolutely believe my man should get a goddamn contract extension, even if it's a 1 year. I absolutely believe you bring that kid back. He has been tremendous for when we've had him, and I think you marry him with Roschon Johnson, and it's hey, this is how you need to run the ball. Instead of hitting that hole and then looking for a DB to run over, shake him, go past him, hit a little, you know what I'm saying, wiggle, you know what I'm saying, and get past him, bro.
A little wiggle, huh?
Just a little wiggle, bro. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Foreman's a big dude. He got the little wiggle to him. You see,
he can catch the ball out of the backfield too. I was surprised.
Yeah,
good
man.
player. Good player.
I'm with Jordan. Roschon Johnson is my guy, but I've always loved that type of runner. Like when Marshawn Lynch was at the top of his game, he was my favorite running back in the league just because the way he runs through a motherfucker's face, and he'll tell you about it all day long. I'm coming right at you. I'm not going to try and go around you. I'm going through you, and you are going to take this punishment all day long. And that's just a personal style. But we were watching the game, and my wife was like, I kind of like that number 21. Who's that? So she's a Dante Foreman fan. So it's really, to me, it's kind of to each their own, whomever you like. But the NFL in general is going to draft and develop running back. They're not re-signing guys because look at the last re-signings we've seen. Ezekiel Elliott got re-signed, got hurt. Saquon Barkley got re-signed, he only got a 1 year deal. Saquon Barkley didn't get re-signed. Derrick Henry got re-signed, got hurt.
David Montgomery was the big ticket multi-year contract this offseason.
Yeah, but I mean, and he was hurt for part of the season too, so GMs are going to take that into consideration. Like, should I re-sign this guy for multiple years and stick with what we have? Or do I think I can get the same or close to that from someone in the draft that I can grab in the 6th round or 7th round, or hell, undrafted free agent? The Baltimore Ravens got a running back right now that's a undrafted free agent that's going buck wild in their back. Now they got Gus the Bus to take all the touchdowns, but I just don't see GM seeing the need to re-sign that. Look at Dalvin Cook. Got re-signed, got traded. Now he's sitting on the bench behind Breece Hall, and he was one of the best running backs in the entire league. I just don't think NFL GMs see it the way us fans see it. And running back has been a big position for all of our lives. Go ahead, KB.
So let me ask a serious question. Let's say offseason hits. Did Saquon sign a 1 year, or did he just sign his franchise tag for this year?
He signed a 1 year deal, basically $500,000 more than
he's free after this season.
Yeah.
Okay, so I honestly got a question. Saquon, his free agency. Do you go after Saquon, knowing that you got Roschon Johnson on the roster right now? You probably draft a guy and bring him in. You can get Saquon on a decent contract. Would you get him?
No,
not me.
I love Saquon, and he's done so much for that Giants organization. But you can't build around a running back like you used to be able to. I think Colin Cowherd, and I know how much hate Colin Cowherd gets, but he put this out that I think like 5 of the last 7 Super Bowl champions did not have a top 10 running offense. Like, they passed the ball They run enough to keep the clock down, and they play at middle half, the top half of the league in defense. You don't have to have that the way the Bears did in the 80s. You don't have to have Walter Payton hammering them and Dan Hampton breaking the quarterback's legs to win. You got to have a quarterback, and you got to have a coaching. Look in Houston. They hire a new coach, they draft a new quarterback, and they're winning ball games, and they're fun to watch. They're one of my favorite teams in the league to watch.
Yeah, what's the offensive coordinator's name down there? Jordan?
Bobby Slowick.
Bobby Slowick, yeah. But we talked about him before.
He's on my list.
Yeah, on the list. The Bears running back room is actually pretty good this year.
Yeah,
it's just we've been killed. We've been getting killed by injuries. Herbert, Dante Foreman now today might not play. Roschon was hurt at the beginning of the year. Travis Homer's been hurt. We had to go with guys. Darrington Evans was running the ball a lot one game or two. Kari Blasenkamp got down to our last running back. That dude had to run.
Yeah. That was the Commanders game. He was the only one we had left.
We're gonna need to probably grab one in this next draft somewhere down the line. So Jordan, who are we grabbing?
That's a good question. I mean, I think I know it sounds crazy because I'd love to hear KB because he's a Michigan fan, but I'm not as high on Corum or Edwards as a lot of people. So I think that those guys are perfect mid-round, early day 3, late day 2 options. But to me, I think this is, and I'm going a little bit of a side, but this is why I didn't love trading that early second rounder. Not because you would have used it on the running back, just that I think what do the Bears have now? 6 picks. So it just feels like that's you'd want a couple extras so that you can ultimately take that running back in the 5th or the 6th. Then
one of those ones is getting traded.
Yeah, well, and that's probably what's going to happen because I find it hard to believe he's really going to leave the draft with 6 picks. Now, whether they keep the 2 ones and maybe they trade back in the 3rd, I'm sure
he wants a second back after getting Sweat, and acquiring Sweat was expensive, not just monetarily, but it also cost a draft pick. I'm not complaining about it because Sweat has played very well.
Oh yeah,
played very, very
man,
well.
When he took down Jared Goff in that game,
oh man,
hell yeah, smash his ass.
I was gonna say, you ever played a game like we playing in Madden and they have the animations and the player be 5 yards, but all of a sudden he automatically get, bro. That was that sack, bro. I was like, there's no way in hell Sweat's gonna get this dude, and then it's I said, wait a fucking minute, bro.
He even tried to pump fake and make him, and Sweat was like, you ain't doing that, and just slammed him.
Yeah.
And he's
any
so
thoughts
big.
on another running back we could pick up maybe late round and just add him to the team, Jordan?
I mean,
give us a name.
I know where KB's going to go, so I'm going to let KB get this guy. But I mean, for me, a guy that I really like is Donovan Edwards, and he's had a really down year.
Yeah.
Now we're going to see if he comes out because Michigan likes to find a way to keep their running back.
Yeah.
And say we're going to feed you the ball, but to me, and let me explain this, is because even though he's not the lead back at Michigan, I think the back that you've already got Roschon, who's this guy that's just going to be a bulldozer down the field. So I think you want that change of pace back, that guy that's going to ultimately spell or be the succession plan to Khalil Herbert. So you want a guy that can kind of get out there and move. And, I saw somebody mention Audric Estime out of Notre Dame. It's not that type of player. So, I mean, to me, the reason I pick Edwards because Edwards is a great receiver and has some juice too, in a way that a Blake Corum or Braylon Allen don't. And of course, I saw somebody else mention Trey Benson. Trey Benson is one of my favorite backs, but these are guys that I don't think are going to – that's not where the Bears are picking a running back. That's where you want me picking for the bottom of the heap. So I've given you, guys that are going to be there necessarily in that realm. And I think I'm going to pass to KB because I know exactly where he's going. So, KB, let me just roll that red carpet out for you. And why don't you tell people that we're not drafting just one junior. You want us to draft 2 juniors.
Oh, yeah. So we had a little joke going on yesterday in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Somebody had posted a thing. We're not gonna throw names out there because we're keeping this within the group.
I'll throw it out there. Who's in the group chat?
I
did a mock draft and I put what I had out there.
My boy AC made a mock draft. Of course, he took Marvin Harrison, and we ended up taking Jerry Rice's son. And I told him, I said, "Hey, bro, you missing somebody? Who am I missing, man?" I said, "Hell, we taking juniors and kids, so you have to go Frank Gore Jr." You want to talk about a hard-nosed runner? Put on some of these kids' tape, bro. Frank Gore Jr. is the absolute fucking menace, bro, and he is being slept.
He's on my list. Yep.
He is
Well,
absolutely
it's because
being
he's
slept
at
on.
it's because he's at
Southern
Southern
Miss.
Miss. He was a recruit that was possibly coming to Kentucky, but chose not to. He decided to go to Southern Miss. I'm not sure why, but yeah, I mean, I like Frank Gore Jr. He runs really well. Are you done, or do you want?
Oh,
What about Raheem Sanders on Arkansas? Pretty good player.
I think he's got the injury, but I think he ends up being taken higher. A guy like, I mean, let me give you, I'll just route out a couple that I think are really quality backs.
Will
I mean,
Shipley.
Will Shipley is a guy that I could see kind of going later than people think. And he fits that mold of kind of that
ball player.
Shifty back. I love USC's running back, and I think the change from South Carolina to USC has been good, and that's Marshawn Lloyd.
Yeah.
So another good back there. And then obviously, I mean, we'll see where he ends up, but Bucky Irving out of Oregon is another back that I could see kind of falling in that range.
I'm still missing a name for a late round draft pick.
I know you want Ray Davis.
What about Braylon Allen on Wisconsin? Pretty good player.
A guy that's ran for 1,000 yards at 3 different schools 3 years in a row.
Khalil Herbert?
No. His name's Ray Davis. He plays for the Kentucky Wildcats, and he ran all over Louisville yesterday.
Good
and
player.
he catches the ball out of the backfield well.
Louisville back's good too. Jawar Jordan's good ball player too.
He didn't look too good yesterday.
Well, Kentucky's, like I said, Kentucky run defense is good, man. Both of them have good run defenses, both.
Obviously, I'm biased. I just feel like we couldn't have went off the running back subject without talking about some Ray Davis.
I mean, do you want to? I mean, I'm curious. I don't mean to put you on the spot here, AC, but as a Kentucky Wildcat fan, I feel like you have the right to do this, and it's only a 2-minute, spiel you got to give. But do you want to tell people the great story? Because to me, it's honestly one of my favorite stories in the entire draft is Ray Davis.
Ray Davis was homeless at one point, and he was in foster care.
Great story.
And someone took him in, and then he worked his butt off. His first school was Temple, so he's smart. And then he goes to Vanderbilt, so again, smart kid. And then he transferred in here to Kentucky, and even on his, I believe he still got it on his Twitter profile, but he has had his eyes on this draft since forever. So he's definitely his story is incredible. Now there was an SEC game where one of the commentators got himself into some trouble because when he was talking about him being homeless, he said, back when he was a teenager, 16 something. And he was like, when he was a teenager, nobody wanted him. And then he hit the transfer portal last year and everybody wanted him. And it came off weird, but what he was trying to push was that his story and the way he's worked his butt off to get to where he is it's an incredible story. And if he doesn't end up in Chicago, no matter where he ends up at, I'll be pulling for that guy because his story's
it's phenomenal.
And yesterday he had the quote of the day where he said, "It's L's down forever around here," so he's definitely a winner in my book.
And on top of that, real quick, just to kind of pander a little bit to your Wildcat love, I personally like him a lot better than Chris Rodriguez. A lot better.
He does a lot more things.
The breakaway touchdown sealed the game yesterday. That's it.
And Chris Rodriguez went in, I believe, the 5th to Washington. I could be wrong.
I thought it was the 6th. I think it was the 6th.
So, he's a perfect example of a guy that would be a wise bet. And so, I hope there's a few names for people, but that to me is an example of you want the Bears selecting a running back in that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round every year. And I think that's going to be something that they continue to do.
All right. What about this question?
Jalen and Mooney be re-signed.
I'd love to see Jalen Johnson back, but
I'll go real quick. I think you should keep Jalen Johnson. Good cornerbacks are hard to find, and but again, I also am very firm on my number. I'm not paying him like a number one. He doesn't play like Jalen Ramsey came off a torn meniscus and has had picks in successive games. Like there's a difference and there's levels to this game, and he's just not at that level. So he needs to be real about his value, and that's the nuance about this question. I probably would keep Jalen over Mooney, all things equal. But if Mooney comes in and say, "Hey, pay me $12 million a year," that's a damn good deal for a wide receiver that could be at your slot. Where Jalen comes in saying, "Pay me 20," I'm not doing it. So there's nuance.
Yeah, I think Jalen, I love him a lot. I want him to be a Bear, but I think his when he dropped that pick 6 last week,
He cost
he
himself some money, bro.
he lost a lot of money. He lost
Yep.
a lot of money with that, and then another overthrow that, yeah, he had to dive for it, and he didn't feel like he had a chance at it. He said that on the score. Great players that want to make $23 million, which is allegedly what he asked for a year, make those plays. You know, you can't allocate that amount of money to somebody who, A, isn't on the field every single Sunday, and B, isn't making the plays when the game is on the line. As much as I love Jalen, and I think, just like you said, Jordan, I would love to have him back at maybe 15, 16, but I'm not paying him 20 what he's possibly asking for.
Hell no.
And Mooney, I love him. I got his jersey. I love Mooney, but I feel like they have tried to draft. That's why Tyler Scott was drafted. They feel like he can fill that mold and they can move forward that way. I mean, I don't know. Like you said, Jordan, if he'll take a hometown discount, he loves Justin Fields, loves Chicago. If he'll take a discount like that, then yeah, if you can get him 10 to 12 million, you can keep both of them. I just don't. We'll have to see how it plays out, and we'll have to see if Ryan Poles is the GM. If you got a brand new GM, who's to say that they don't say, look, the guy before me has allocated all these draft picks into the secondary. Why do I need to re-sign Jalen Johnson if we have Terrell Smith and Tyreek Stevenson, who had a hell of a game last week, and Kyler Gordon? And if I feel like drafting another corner this year, there's a couple of them, you know, like maybe it comes down to a numbers game. I have no idea.
I think you got to get a safety. There's some good safeties who can be free agents, man. Antoine Winfield Jr.
I'm going young at safety. Malachi Moore is a guy that I like a lot.
Drafting a safety. If you're not going to sign one of the good free agent safeties that are out there, you have got to come out of this draft with this free safety.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that. What would y'all think about putting Terrell Smith back there?
Well, interesting enough, Matt Eberflus said something about Terrell Smith being a big part of this future. Team.
Yeah, I don't listen to him anymore.
I just don't know how much I value the guy talking about futures of the team. He's not. He doesn't have a future with the team.
You're not gonna be here, brother.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was interesting that he said that.
No, I know.
So they view him.
I can just give you my draft perspective, Bob. I mean, he was a big athletic corner that was a little bit stiff in the hips to play in phase. And while that sounds dangerous to put at free safety because, oh man, can he flip his hips and have range? It can be, but the benefit is that you're playing top down, you're playing 15 yards off, and you're not responsible for playing a man in his hip pocket through the entire route distribution. So theoretically, he'd be able to see what's coming at him and drive down with that athleticism. But to be very clear, and I'm not at all, this is not like a Bojack, Eddie Jackson, Stan, conversation I'm having. He definitely is on the way out. But I think if anybody that needs to understand, even Bojack at his compromise level still has more range than a lot of safeties that, you're going to pull in. And so I don't think he's the answer. I think you need to move on, but I also don't think Terrell Smith is people, and it's not you fellas. I'm just whoever, whether it's Eberflus or otherwise, the PE teacher. I think that people are constantly trying to, plug holes of like, oh man, look at our 6th-round rookie. He could be the next starter. It's like, sometimes let that man play a role. Terrell Smith can be a good depth corner. You need those.
I thought
don't need to elevate him.
I thought Greg Stroman would have been a guy that could move to safety. That he played really well against Washington, and then we never saw him again. They got back healthy and brought other guys back, and the depth is so big at corner, but you don't have a whole lot of depth at safety. You've got those 2 starters, and then Elijah Hicks, and then some guys they picked up off the street. Like but I like in the draft. I like Malachi Moore, and I like Rob Moore from Michigan.
Malachi Starks on Georgia. Yeah. Also a good player. What about Cameron Kinchins of Miami? Looks like a good player. I don't know. Jordan, you know that kid?
Yeah, I mean, these are players that would be fantastic if you had that Montez Sweat pick, but no, and I'm giving them a hard time. But I mean, to me, you probably want to take
Miami safeties. I mean, long line of good, talented Hurricane safeties in the NFL.
Yeah. No. You probably want to take a safety at that 68 or 105th pick, ideally.
Yep.
If you're hoping. And again, I mean, in that point, I like Andrew Makuba from Clemson. He's a really rangy guy, a little bit slighter in frame, but we'll see if he makes it that deep. A guy that I continue to just harp on, and I know he's not going to be what many people know, but it's Bud Clark from TCU. He had an interception yesterday. He's had 3 interceptions on the year. He's a big, tall, lanky safety, but has incredible range. And I mean, picked off my boy JJ McCarthy in the playoffs, but that's just one thing. I mean, obviously he's had many of interceptions and former cornerback background. Speaking of guys like Terrell Smith moving to safety, so understands what it is to play in coverage on a man, and now is playing at free safety for TCU. And Bud Clark is a guy that I think would be there late.
Yep.
Well, while we're on defense, Suntar's 9 threw out a good one. Got to get someone opposite side to match Sweat. Derek Barnett was released by the Eagles this week, and I haven't seen if anyone picked him up. I know we have a pretty high waiver claim. That could possibly be a guy that you bring in to put on
SEC guy.
Came from Tennessee. He was drafted in the first round by the Eagles and hasn't – I mean, he's just kind of been overplayed by Brandon Graham, Hassan Reddick, and all the names that they have on their defensive front. But as far as the draft, I like both the guys from Alabama. I think it's Chris Braswell and Dallas Turner Dallas Turner, if you want him, you're going to have to grab him with that number 4 overall pick probably, because he's, at least right now, he's looking like the top one. I know KB mentioned the guy from UCLA. He has a little bit of an injury history that scared Jordan away and some size issues, I think. This may be our defense, so you got those things going. But as far as edge rushers, I loved Jared Verse coming in. Hell, I was ready to take him last year, with our first pick. But he just hasn't continued the trajectory that I expected him at Florida State. If he came out last year, he would have been a top 10 pick. And then he went back to school instead and hasn't panned out as well for him. Jordan, who you got at edge rusher?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you're looking for. And obviously, we're just going to keep the assumption that you're staying in an even front. So you can go one of two ways, and I'll give you what I would do, but I'm going to quickly go back to what I think the Bears will do. I think you've got your strong side defensive end, and this is why typically a Unique Ngakoue should be thriving, because you do want that shiftier, quicker, smaller, better pass rusher per se at your weak side defensive end. But I also don't think that that's ever anything that you've seen this staff or Ryan Poles do. He likes pocket pushers, pocket denters, people that
bigger
crush
guys.
So, I mean, to me, I look at guys like Jordan Birch, defensive lineman out of Oregon, Darius Robinson, just a total freak show out of Missouri. Obviously, as we talk about being later in the class, Brennan Dorless is another good example. Gabriel Murphy, UCLA. I know a lot of people talk about Jonah Ellis out of Utah. He's another thinner guy.
He's smaller though.
Yeah.
But.
I mean, I'll tell you the one guy I'm going to sound ridiculous, a massive hard-on for, a massive boner for, but he's certainly not going to make it to the point that the Bears would take him is Braylon Trice, who I know got a little bit of run.
Washington, right?
Yeah, I know got a little bit of run, but like people have quieted on him, and I just don't get it. You watch him, and he is. I mean, I'm like, man, go to Tennessee, go to New England, go to one of these places that they're just going to tell you, hey, man, beat the shit out of the offensive lineman in front of you, and he does that every weekend in the Pac-12, and he's just a total nightmare and a nuisance to deal with. He's not flashy, he's not bendy. It's not that he's just. But that's to me what I'm talking about when you think about what the Bears want. He's a guy that's just going to totally go to war and go to battle every rep with the offensive lineman, and have that dude getting up like, oh my god, this is a nightmare every time.
I mean, if he's a guy like that, when the combine comes around, if he tapes out well and has good size and good hand size and good speed, then us layman fans will start to pair that with clips that we see of him and say, okay, maybe this is a guy, that we can draft and we can build on. But it kind of sounds like he's a lot like Sweat, so I don't know if he's exactly a fit for the Bears. If if this is our defense. I just I don't know. KB, who you got at edge? Anybody or?
I mean, you got the usual suspects that everybody was going over. But a kid I liked, and I like him late. Is the Kamara kid out of Colorado State.
Yeah, Muhammad Kamara.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting a kid like him. I mean, he's probably not going to be, like a 10 to 12 sack guy, especially early on. But he has a lot of heart. Looks to be a very solid leader type guy. I mean, if you taking shots on people later on in the draft, I would love to see us grab him. Like I said, I know the boy out of UCLA is a monster, but like y'all said, he has injury issues. But if it was ever a way you're betting on somebody to hit, that dude, that kid is a fighter. He is a fucking monster and a nightmare. So, but that's first 4 picks. So
yep,
yeah,
you got to pick Harrison and him with 1 and 4.
Yeah.
So what about Tuimalau? Good closing speed. Got some good size too, man. I like his hustle. Maybe get him a little bit later on.
He's interesting to me.
Yeah, interesting to me too. I mean, Latu and Chop Robinson, they're guys that are kind of the Yannick Ngakoue size,
I'll give this about Chop Robinson.
Jonah Ellis, but
I get this about Chop Robinson. The fact that Michigan had to switch their whole goddamn play style just so they can avoid passing the ball because that defense allowed of his thing.
Well, that's because I mean, look, I'm sure anybody can tell me.
Get Jordan fired up here.
Oh, because it's just Michigan. I get it. Everybody wants to. I've never. I mean, it's been a while. I should never say never.
JJ had a great game yesterday.
I've not seen a fucking quarterback.
We got to give it to Jordan.
That is divisive as JJ McCarthy is. The amount of fucking people that are like, "No, this dude's not NFL talent. Oh, he looks like Zach Wilson." I mean, I'm not even talking about just the clowns and the casuals on Twitter.
If Kyle Shanahan has a chance to grab, he didn't have Brock.
I'm talking about like people like Mina Kimes making
so
jokes
good in San Francisco.
But I mean, to KB's point, and with Chop Robinson, and this is why I'm emboldened about JJ McCarthy is he's not throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr., Roma Dunze, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas. He's throwing to Roma Wilson and Colston Loveland. His running backs are underperforming, and to the point of the Chop Robinson, the offensive line in Michigan only knows how to move one way. They go into drive, they don't know how to go into reverse. So, I mean, to that point, you're asking your quarterback to, hey, he only gets 15 to 20 plays to throw the ball, and he has to be fucking perfect and meaningful on all of them and not make a mistake, and the kid does it.
Yeah, I think he's starting to rise up draft boards. His size will be a question mark when the combine comes and they get a legitimate height and weight.
Well, I mean, but you already know, fellas. Like I sat quiet on Twitter yesterday, but the amount of people that were just fucking shoving the crow into their mouth for JJ McCarthy, I'm like, it's about goddamn time. It's about goddamn time.
He's so smart, man. He's such a smart quarterback.
I saw his post game interview too, and he was like, I'll see y'all in Indy. He gave credit to Ohio State for playing the way they play. So he seems like a stand-up kid too. So he's not like going to come out there and be like, hell yeah, we did our thing. Michigan, let's go. Harbaugh, we miss you.
And I'm not.
That's another thing. They act like Harbaugh's died. I don't.
Yeah. Well, I'm not.
Like at every post game,
some 400-yard game. That's not it at all. But Tooch put it perfectly. Like he played a fantastic game. When he had to make a play, he made a play.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about just the some call it questionable. It wasn't questionable to me. The Roma Wilson touchdown, which was a fucking dime, a keyhole throw. But he had one where he was scrambling out. Looked like, how is this kid going to complete
on the sideline?
Yep. And that's not 15 yards. That was like a 25, 30-yard throw. I mean,
but his window was about this big.
Yep.
And he
that cross body throw, he threw it back across the fucking field.
I mean,
sideline throws.
What do you want? What tools are you missing? Like, and he's not a perfect prospect. If anybody wants me to what are your negatives on McCarthy? I got a few of them. But to me, I'm like, I've been saying, man,
I actually like him better than the top 2 guys now after yesterday. Yep.
There's skills there. And I mean, let's not even talk about the running. Like
I like the brain, man.
Yeah. He had a scramble yesterday that went This is what I mean, making plays when he needed it. The running game was fine. I know Corum had a big run later. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Matthew. And look, I mean, hey, eat some crow too, buddy, won't you? You're Penn State, you're little brother. I mean, look, and this is all due respect, but Penn State rides little brother. They're always fucking broads in that division. You got the big boys playing at Ohio State, Michigan, and every year they have a chance to swap it out. But right now, Michigan's riding high. Penn State's never even in the fucking conversation. They're always little brother number 3 in that conference. So, I mean, Drew Aller, let me put it real quick for you, Matthew, and I love you, brother. But the reality is, we got Drew Aller, king of mid, and then we got Kyle McCord, king of mid. That's what they thought you were going to be walking into yesterday with Ohio State and Michigan. And then J.J. McCarthy put a fucking cherry on it. Was like, no, I'm not mid. I'm a legit NFL talent quarterback, and Kyle McCord's out there looking like Drew Aller part 2. So,
Jesus Christ, he looked bad.
Well, maybe they should just move to the ACC because, Louisville can go to the ACC and lose 2 games, and then when they play Kentucky, they get
to Matthew's part, would I draft JJ in Chicago? I think he'd be a great fit in Chicago, just because he's from the area. He's a tough kid. He plays in the elements. He comes from a blue blood program. I don't think he's easily shaken up. But there's no way in hell they're drafting him in Chicago, and I'm happy for the kid. I hope he goes to a successful.
Once we bring in Jim Harbaugh, maybe he'll have a say in it.
Well, they're not bringing in Jim Harbaugh because Jim Harbaugh is too divisive. Jim Harbaugh is going to make the McCaskies, pucker their butts a little bit. And that's wait,
Kevin Warren says he has something to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
I love this point, KB.
Former Big Ten president,
right?
Kevin Warren.
Look, Warren, I guarantee you, Warren is evaluating everybody in that building, from Poles on down, man. Ryan Poles has to be in this conversation when it comes out. It's not Warren's guy. It's not Warren's guy.
Okay, I'll say this because I want to preface this because this was something I had retweeted and I guess a lot of people started questioning and then liking it. When we brought up the whole situation from when Poles got hired and he hired Eberflus, whatever the case was, and you had Jim Caldwell brought in. The fact that Jim Caldwell came in with his homework done and saying, hey, I know what our quarterback does good. I'm a Justin Fields guy. I can build an offense around his talents. And somehow Eberflus gets picked. Like I said, bro, that made me sour on Poles a little bit more, man. That's glaring. I don't get it. I don't, but I know we got a time issue going on, so we'll say that for another day.
Yeah, we got to get into this week's game before we head out of here so that Tooch can go over there with Goon and help people set their fantasy lineups. So Bears play Vikings Monday Night Football in Minnesota. Josh Dobbs setting the NFL world on fire and just making plays. The Pastronaut, as they call him. The guy is a rocket scientist, literally has a degree from Tennessee, and he's this generation's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
So smart. Love it.
He's this generation's Ryan Fitzpatrick, whereas he's played for several teams, and he'll get traded to a team and be the starter that weekend before he even knows all the guys standing in the huddle with him. And he just gets things done, and it's a fun story to follow. And the Bears, unfortunately, seem to be heading the other way. It looked like we may not be for 3/4 of the game last week, and then we pissed it away in the end. And it just now, one person on this panel said that last week's game would be close, and I bet on it, and I hit that bet. I had Bears +5, I think, or something like whatever the spread was last week. I don't remember. I had the Bears plus to cover, and they did cover.
I think it was 7.5, wasn't it? 7.5.
Yeah, you're right. It was bigger.
7.5. Yeah.
This week they are 3.5-point underdogs. Monday Night Football. I still think it's close. We'll just talk a little bit. Jordan, I know you want to talk about some Brian Flores. Tell me what Brian Flores does and how he is able to disrupt quarterback play and disrupt your whole team. Honestly, I mean, I know this is a guy that you said, and I heard it again this week on Hogan Johns. They mentioned him about being a head coach candidate for the Bears.
That shit is so funny because I'll find a way to clip it up. I don't know anybody else that was talking up Brian Flores as much as I was back before Eberflus was hired. And there was a time when Hogan Johns were like accepting callers in, and I tried to get on and I didn't make it. I had to drive home from work, didn't have the internet connection. But he was like, "Oh, I'm sure I knew that Jordan guy was going to come on and talk about Brian Flores." And it's funny now, like all of a sudden you got Hogan Johns like, "Oh man, that's this Brian Flores guy." Everybody in the NFL is like, Brian Flores should have a fucking job. I mean, I'm not always right, but there are certain things where it's like it's fucking clear as day when you got a good quality coach. And I said, look, said it. I know this is going to piss Bears fans off. I said Brian Flores would blank the Bears in 2023 as DC of the Vikings. Did it one time, and I'm ready to say he'll do it again. But we'll get to that point. But as far as just what Brian Flores does, he loads fronts. He presents cover 0, cover 1 looks, and then it's what we call min-maxing. So he will either send a ton of pressure or drop 8 and send 3. And he'll send them in different looks, different stunts. Where he'll have, that 5 tech come all the way around to the opposite B
so
gap.
He twists a lot and stuff.
Yeah, it's a nightmare to deal with because as a quarterback and again, I mean, most quarterbacks are setting the protection in the NFL, but even if it's your center, how are you setting a protection and this is the beauty of what Brian Flores does. I'm always +1. It doesn't matter. You can leave your running back and your tight end, and then I just bring another guy down to the box. It does not matter what you do. You always have to account that I have +1, and it does not matter. You will not be able to block everybody if I send them. And so now the goal is if I can waste your tight end and waste your running back in protection, you get less guys out on routes. And then all of a sudden, I don't even have to send everybody. I just drop a bunch of people into zone. And then where are you thrown into? Or you all of a sudden are feeling like, oh my God, am I under pressure? Because there were 7 people at the line. It's a beautiful defense.
So speaking of
Fields
defenses,
was answer that question. Fields was injured in that game against the Vikings. Got the thumb injury. So it's both Fields and Bajan. But go ahead, KB. Sorry about that.
I was going to say, what front does he primarily operate out of? That question I didn't know. I wasn't really paying attention to when we played them. So is he primarily a 4-3? Is he
no? It's an odd.
Does he operate out of?
It's an odd front. So it's 3 down linemen. But it's not even like the Mike Zimmer of old with the Vikings where he'll just all of a sudden crowd the A gap and mug it up. It's a variety of fronts, but it's all predicated on that 3-4 defense with 2 outside linebackers, 2 inside linebackers, your 3 down linemen. And where he moves guys is what's particularly interesting. And this all goes back to the Patriots defense and his time in New England, where they had guys like Deontay Hightower, where they would move him as a Mike linebacker. And I'm not kidding. They'd put him at edge rusher. They'd put him down on a guard because he was just such a big, thick linebacker. They don't have that yet. And this is the best part about him is he's making chicken salad out of true chicken shit there.
Yeah, they got rid of everybody this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, he's incredible. So I hope that answered your question, KB.
Yeah. Well, Daniil Hunter, pretty good player, man. I can give you some numbers, man. He's been on the place, man. Daniil Hunter, last time he squared off with the Bears offensive line, 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hits, 2 tackles for a loss, and 1 batted pass. The line, we were without Braxton Jones in that game, though. So our offensive line has played well, though, last few games. But Daniil Hunter's also been great at getting the strip sack. So he's definitely a guy we have to game plan against today.
They'll have to bring the lunch pail
on Monday.
He's absolutely good. I'm just saying, like, in comparison to everything else, they've got an undrafted linebacker, Ivan Pace, who I like, but he's their linebacker. Jordan Hicks is their other guy. The problem is, like, and this is actually one of the negatives on Brian Flores, is if you just don't fit the scheme or he doesn't like you, you don't fucking play. And I mean, that actually really hurts the Vikings right now. And Lewis Seen, their safety, their first round safety, is not playing. Andrew Booth is playing a little bit, but not getting a ton of time. So there's some personnel issues there where I think they could be maximizing some talent more. And then I know we got to talk about the game, so I'll just be super duper quick. Somebody had said, like, why is there no love or talk for Mike McDonald, the Ravens DC for head coach? And I'll just be very quick because it relates to Brian Flores. You're not going to hear me besmirch Mike McDonald anyway. Mike McDonald absolutely deserves conversation. It's just, to me, Brian Flores runs a 1-of-1 defense in this league. Nobody runs it like him. There's a lot of imitators. Wink Martindale's another one of them, but nobody does it quite like him. And that is the value and the allure in a way that Mike McDonald is running. And Mike McDonald's fantastic, but he's running a lot of what other players run, other coaches run in this league, where when you hire Brian Flores, you literally get a single one-of-one key on how to blank the best offensive minds in the league. And that's Shanahan, that's McVay, that's anybody.
Look at last year. The Vikings defense was terrible. In 1 year, bringing Brian Flores there, they have turned it around, man. Now they're a really good defense.
And they got rid of some of the
hard
best
to run
players.
on them, man. The run
they got rid of
defense is good.
Zadarius Smith. They got rid of their linebacker Kendricks. They got rid of a ton of veteran players off that defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
I mean, I agree with Mr. Mayhem here. I have zero confidence in this coaching staff, even if we have a lead. I mean, like I told you guys last week, when we kicked that field goal on 4th and 1, I told my wife we're going to lose this ball game because I don't think they, like you said, Jordan, scared money don't make no money. And if you're coaching scared or coaching not to lose instead of coaching to win, you're going to lose. That's the bottom line. I do think a big reason why Brian Flores or did you say Mike McDonald haven't been brought up in this coaching search is look at our past hires. We went from Lovie Smith to Mark Trestman, from Mark Trestman to John Fox, from John Fox to Matt Nagy. So you're going offense, defense. I just don't see them going defense. I see them going with an offensive mind, and neither one of those guys fit that. Now, if I don't know, but yeah, we need to talk some more about this game. Justin Jefferson is a questionable game time decision type deal. I think they're just trying to. I don't see him playing, but I think that they're going to make the Bears at least think he might play. So they have
since
to
week 5 against the Chiefs.
Yeah, so that they have to try and come up with a game plan for him because your game plan is completely different if Justin Jefferson's playing as opposed to if he's not. So they're going to not divulge that information until kickoff, and then by then you've wasted half your week trying to prepare for a player that's not playing, in my opinion. As you said, Jordan, the defense is very confusing. They confused Justin Fields before they hurt him in that last game. I'm just trying to think.
If you're Brian Flores, why would I assume that Justin Fields has learned any way to decode, decipher, to beat my defense? I'm not saying he can't, but if I'm Brian Flores, I'm going out there loading it right back up and going, prove to me you can beat this, because I went up against Lamar Jackson in his MVP year and he couldn't do it. Right. I've done it to Tagovailoa, to Jared Goff. I've done it to everybody.
Well, Russell Wilson was able to figure it out last week, so hopefully they saw some things on tape from the game last week. I don't know, it was a 1-point game and a very close game, but maybe they saw some things on tape that the Broncos were able to do that they can take advantage of.
Run the ball with Fields.
I get, but I'm just playing devil's advocate, AC. I'm not necessarily disagreeing, but the difference there is that you've got a quality. There's no questions about the veracity and quality of Sean Payton as an offensive mind going up against a quality defensive mind like Brian Flores. Luke Getsy, Brian Flores, I'll leave it there. I mean, you decide you want to go there, but that's
And I don't know how much of it is Luke Getsy or how much of it is Eberflus handcuffing him, because like I said, early in the game, Getsy was calling a good game, in my opinion, throwing the ball well, running the ball well, letting Fields get out and run a little bit, and building plays off of plays. And then at the end, when it started to get conservative, I have a feeling that his defensive-minded head coach was in his ear saying, just run the ball. Just run the ball. And we'll
Fields is questionable? I have not heard that.
I hadn't.
That's news to me.
It's news to me, too.
Well, he said Flus said it, or she said Flus said it. You can't I can't believe anything.
He's not even listed on the injury report.
I can't believe anything that Flus says in those press conferences anymore. I mean, he came out and told the whole world he had something up his sleeve for that second half.
Foreman is doubtful.
Yeah,
Tyreek Stevenson questionable. A Blazin game looks like he's out. It looks like Noah Sewell's the only one that's listed as out. Blazin game and Patrick.
I think Foreman's ankle injury hurt us a lot last week too, because he was running the ball really well, and then he went out with his injury, and they leaned on Herbert, but Herbert didn't look like his normal self out there. He didn't look like he's all the way back. He was kind of trying to push through it probably a little bit. I don't know why they don't trust Rashawn Johnson to be the lead guy, but they just don't.
They give it to him. Good things happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
John Hammer says something like, if a Bears loss on Monday gets rid of Eberflus and company on Tuesday, it would be the first time for me rooting for a Bears loss. Well, I'm not
Can we
breaking
put this rumor to bed?
Well, okay. Well, I'm not breaking
He's
any
not
news
connected
here.
to He's not connected to the McCaskey family. That was clickbait.
Okay. I'm just saying I'm not breaking any news here. I'm not. I don't have some insight. But a little birdie may have told me that this could be the game that if it's ugly and a loss happens, there may be the first head coach fired in season. I'll believe it when I see it. I certainly understand that. But little birdie through a birdie through a birdie.
We have the bye week after this, correct? We're on bye next week.
Yep.
So that would give your interim head coach 2 weeks to get ready to head coach his first game.
If he blows another big lead,
that's what I'm talking about. One of those two. I'm not breaking any news if it's like a close loss, but if it's one of those, I've heard that change will happen.
Up double digits in the fourth quarter and collapse again, he's gone.
Yeah.
Look, let me just set the table here, man. First of all, signing Josh Dobbs was brilliant because now the Vikings have put themselves into playoff contention. They're 6-5. All-time series, Vikings lead 66-56. Versus the Bears, they have a 9-7 lead in Monday night meetings. Fields 0-3 in his career against the Vikings, but he's got a 94.4 passer rating in those matchups. Monday night in his career, Fields is 1-2 with three touchdown passes, 2 interceptions passer rating. Bears are 33-42 all time on Monday Night Football and only 6-26 on the road. If you're asking me, look, if they're going to beat the Vikings, Justin Fields has to have he's got to put together another good game like he had against the Lions, both running the ball, passing the ball. He's got to hit his keys. Bears offensive line, they have to be successful protecting Justin Fields. The pass rush has got to be able to contain Joshua Dobbs making plays with his legs. And the Bears have to stop T.J. Hawkinson and Jordan Addison from making plays and limit their turnovers. The Vikings have 10 turnovers in their last 6 games. So Brian Flores doing his job, and we gotta do it. So, man, Vikings have a couple talented players in the secondary. Byron Murphy playing very hard. Last time we played the Vikings, he did a really good job in that game. Justin Fields shied away from throwing to that side. Byron Murphy.
He does well against Justin Fields every time. When he was in Arizona, he played well against Justin.
And then Harrison Smith always been a tough player versus the Bears.
Dirty ass Harrison Smith.
That's those are some of the keys the Bears have got to take care of if we're going to have a chance in this game.
Yeah. Well, we got to wrap this thing up. We got about 15 minutes, so I'll go around the room. Give me your score prediction, bowl prediction, your MVB, and I'm not sure what we'll do next week where we're on bye. We may just take the week off. Unless breaking news happens and we have a new head coach, then maybe we'll talk about the implications of that, and we'll try and close it out quick enough to get Tooch back to his fantasy show. So go ahead, Chris. Chris, you'll have to unmute yourself and give me your score prediction, bowl prediction, MVB, and anything else you got. Hit shout outs and all that. Go ahead, Chris.
You know what? I think the Bears might sneak this one. I don't know why, but I just think if we can play like we did do for like the 3 quarters of the game last week, I think we can match up with the Vikings really well. But like you say, their defense does find all the weaknesses by Justin Fields quite easily. I remember the game at home when we were the first play. Justin Fields gets blindsided because we don't bother putting a back in to chip their defensive end. And I knew straight away that their defense were going to dominate us. So I think we could sneak it, but if we're going to sneak it, I'd say it's 21-18 to the Bears. Regarding sort of MVP, really, I really want to sort of say Andrew Billings, really, because I really want to see that defensive line improve, and I think he'll get a lot more chances due to Sweat and the other guys who were brought onto the team. So I'm hoping for the Bears win. If it is, it's going to be a little short one. I don't think we're going to win by much if we do, but I just want to see us be more consistent and play a full game instead of like what we did last week.
Absolutely. If you want to hit shout outs, go ahead.
Yeah, shouts to you, boys. Shout to the chat. Let's hope the Bears can do it on national TV. We've sort of sucked really on national TV for a long time, but yeah, let's hope we get a Bears win. But I just want it to be a good game as well, man, because some of the games the Bears have played this year have been a bit shocking, especially like the Thursday night game against Carolina. So let's hope the Bears can do it. But I think it could be a tight one. I really do.
Yeah, I think so too. Go ahead, KB.
All right, shit. I don't know, man. I just don't got no faith in this damn coaching staff, bro. I'm gonna say we find a way to blow it, 24-17, Vikings. I'm gonna say MVP. I'll get MVP to Fields. I say Fields has a decent day, but we do what we've done and we blow this game. Then my bold prediction is fucking Eberflus is fired after this game. So
Nice.
shout outs go to everybody in the chat. Y'all have been awesome today. It's been amazing. I love y'all coming in, man. Hit the like button, fucking subscribe, do all that shit. It's good for the algorithm. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Love y'all boys, man.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Jordan.
Absolutely. Well, I figure I should start like KB. Oh shit. No, I'm just kidding. I've never seen somebody so negative about it, but I appreciate it because I need some equal energy to match me. Of course, everybody likes to be right, but I'm sticking by what I said before the season even started. I think Brian Flores finds a way to craft magic again and blank this offense. And blank is tough. I mean, I understand some people think blank means a total goose egg. I don't think it's hard to shut out any NFL opponent, but a meaningless offensive game, 10, 13 points, something like that. And I don't think that the Vikings are necessarily going to come off just roaring on offense, but it comes down to even beyond the players. I just think it's a coach's game, this particular aspect. I certainly think Brian Flores is a better defensive coordinator than Luke Getsy as an offensive coordinator, and I certainly think Kevin O'Connell is going to put Eberflus's antiquated defense in a chokehold. So I think that whether it's Josh Dobbs or not, whether Justin Jefferson's there or not, I think that the Vikings find a way to do just enough to kind of get past them on a primetime night. And but let me give myself a little out. There's nothing more Bears than when they play on primetime, they find a way to just eat these things out. So we're going to see it. But for what it's worth, consider it a loss by me to the Vikings. Call it 21-13 type game, 20-13, something like that. So that's the way I see that. MVP, give me Tyreek Stevenson. I think that Josh Dobbs is a smart player, but I think he has taken some chances and gets punished for it. And I think a guy like Tyreek Stevenson, even more than Jalen Johnson knows how to be in position to almost scare away a quarterback. Tyreek Stevenson sometimes looks like he's just out of it. It gets these balls thrown to him and people pick on him and he finds a way to get back into it.
His interception last week was just a bad throw by, and it just kind of hit him right in the hands.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
I'll
I think
I
I have him having a takeaway, and then bold prediction. Bold prediction is that Justin Fields. I'm not going to put that bad juju out there. I was going to say he gets hurt again. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to Bears fans, just because I think he's going to be on the ground a lot in this game. I think they're going to sack him quite a bit. I'll go with KB. I don't mean to piggyback off it, but I hope this little birdie I heard was true. I hope the Bears find a way to let Eberflus out to pasture after this game.
Yeah. If you want to hit shout outs. And then
sorry about that. Shout outs as always. I mean, it's the same message, but it's always just as good every week. To you fellas, fantastic chat. Always fantastic talking with you. As early as it is and it hurts to get up as early to talk with you fellas. I always enjoy it every single week. Talking ball chat. You guys are always fantastic. We had so many questions starred today because of all the good content you were providing, and it's always welcome discourse in every aspect talking with you all. So thank you for being here. Do the favors. Tooch put it up a while ago. Hit the like button, subscribe, all those algorithm things that help keep the lights on and keep Aldo Gandia happy with us, so that you have a show to tune into at the early crack of dawn here on the West Coast. So thank you, fellas. Have a wonderful week. Bear down.
Tucci, if you want to go ahead, I know you got another show to go to, so if you want to go ahead and hit yours real quick, and then you can hop out.
Yeah, look, this is a game I'm probably not going to bet. I just don't – there's too many unknowns for me. If I had to pick a score, look, the total was 45.5, and now it's dropped 2 points. So, people are all over the under. So probably not a high-scoring game, which kind of plays into the Vikings' hands. I'm going to say 2016 Vikings. I just look the superior coaches, the Vikings. If the Bears are going to win this game, Justin Fields has got to break a couple long touchdowns. And I'm not saying that can't happen because it absolutely can. But Justin Fields, this is this is a good test for him. Let me just say, we have to. I've said a lot of times that the Bears' mission is to evaluate Justin Fields for the rest of the season. But in a sense, I've also said on Bare Their Souls that this coaching staff needs to prove that they deserve to coach Justin Fields, because right now I don't think they do. And I'll second that bold prediction. If it's another collapse, I think I'm with KB and Jordan and saying Eberflus has shown the door. Maybe Kevin Warren makes that call over Ryan Poles. We'll find out. Most valuable player. Every time I pick Cole Kmet, he gets a touchdown, so I'll take Kmart. And shout outs. Look, last week on Weekend Sports Betting Tips, Sean, Anthony, and I were 4-0. This Thanksgiving, we did a little show, 3-0. We have one play left for the dog of the day, Raiders plus 9.5. So you could very well be 8-0 our last 8 picks on Weekend Sports Betting Tips of Barflies. Those are all free picks, free plays. So free money. I had 49ers -7. Sean gave out the over in the Dallas game, and Anthony had the Wolverines -3.5. So just waiting on one play tonight. And shout out to Barfly. The chat was fantastic today with questions. I got to get out of here, guys. I will see you next week. Hey, maybe.
All right.
Love you too. See
you, Tooch.
All right. Later.
Right down. So I'm going to be real quick. Last time these two teams played, I believe the final score was either 19-13 or something really close like that. And they had a fumble recovery for a touchdown that Bajent gave up. So anyone who's in the Bajency, Mr. Mike Withrow, I'm looking at you. That was your guy that blew that game. I think
I've not heard that before. The Bajency. I like that.
I think I'm right there with you guys. The low scoring game. I think the Vikings pull it out late. Jordan, I'm kind of right there with you. I'm feeling like 2016, maybe a 23-16. They throw on a field goal at the end of the game to make it a higher point differential than it was. Yeah, it's just hard for me to trust this coaching staff when you are up 12 in a fourth quarter and you find a way to blow the game and then try to come back the next week and play on prime time and against a divisional opponent who Eberflus has never beat a divisional opponent. So I don't see that changing. But it really sucks. So the only bright light would be is if Eberflus is let go after the loss and they just tell him, you know what, just stay in Minnesota, go to the freaking Mall of America or get your wife something nice for Christmas or something and don't come back to Chicago because we're done with you. But yeah, I mean that's my MVP. Someone said in the chat, I think Sweat causes a fumble, and I like that one. I like that as a bold prediction and my MVP. I like Sweat. I tried to pick him last week, and Chris took him away from me. So I'll take him this week. I'll take some Montez Sweat. Gets a couple of sacks and causes a fumble against the Vikings offensive line. Shout out to you guys, first and foremost, coming in bright and early with me and talking some Bears. Shout out to the chat. As everyone has said, they gave us a ton of content today, a ton of questions to answer, and all those things. I guess we're just like, comment, subscribe, do all those things to keep the lights on here at the Ballroom. We appreciate your support for the Ballroom Network. Until next week, we'll just get out of here and leave everybody with a bear down.
Bear down.
Bear down.